everybody, this is Daryl, and this is the second version of Game Show known as Game Show 2. Once again, this is more of a physical comedy skit where I devised it so that members of the audience could come up and participate in the skit. They would have the scripts in front of them so they could just read their lines at the appropriate time. Most of it involved, of course, physical comedy, like the page turning. Whenever it was time to turn the page, I made sure that they over-exaggerated it, tearing the pages in half, throwing the scripts out in the crowd, running out into the crowd and interacting with them, taking chairs from each other, whatever. I would be reading the lines in red, while contestants number 1, 2, and 3 would be reading lines in blue, yellow, and green. This is the start here. I started trying to do the title and obviously gave up. The theme for Game Show 2 is the show has just been canceled, so I'm getting excessively drunk on the stage. The contestants are bored, and they're the same contestants that had just done Game Show 1 earlier in the night, and we go from there. Here I say it's close enough to the real title. And here I admit that I've been drinking since the show's been canceled, blah, blah, blah. Contestant number 1 says his name, says he's been on every show, which, usually we try to do the skit about a half hour or so later after the first one, so. And then here I scold the guy for, just pretend you're a new contestant or something. And the second contestant says, "Are you afraid we're going to get canceled?" Third guy mentions that the network's probably not even watching. And then here I scold him for using the word crap. And I say, "Hey, watch your beeping mouth. This is a G-rated show." The third guy asks if he can at least say his name. I just tell him to shut up and read your lines, bunny hop boy, which works better if the third contestant had actually participated in the Monday Night Ha skit. Another thing about Game Show 2 is that referenced other popular skits at the time. Then here, contestant number 1 asks if we're still supposed to buzz in. Contestant number 2 says he gets to buzz. The first guy gets to cock-a-doodle-doo. Third guy says that he was the one that was cock-a-doodle-doodling last time and says, "Whose line is it anyways?" Which is, my way of acknowledging one of my favorite shows at the time. Whose line is it anyways? I say they have the wrong skits, wrong scripts. They should hurry up and switch them. So it goes through the big shenanigans of the tossing the scripts out in the crowd and interacting with the crowd and, stealing the chairs from each other and all sorts of other goodies like that. And then, without even asking a question, I just say contestant number 1. He's kind of confused because I didn't ask a question yet. And I'm drinking from a flask on the stage. I'm like, do I have to do everything around here? Just make up your own question or something. Contestant number 2 complains that the game show's rigged. Contestant number 3 here says he just wants to say his name this week. And then I rip on reality television again, like, "Oh, it's reality TV. We're not actors. This is real." First contestant asks, "Well, then why are we reading from a script?" Second contestant says he thinks he's reading the identity theft skit again. Third contestant says, "Oh crap, it looks like I have to bunny hop again." Then we go through another script switching session to allow them to do more physical comedy and interact with their friends in the crowd. Contestant number 2 acknowledges that it's time to turn the page, and then it begins the throwing the scripts around and all that hoopla. I sigh, and say we need to screen the contestants a little better. The third guy asks if he can actually be a contestant and says, he didn't throw his paper on the ground like the other guys did. Second guy says, no, you ripped it in half. First guy asks when the show's going to be on TV because his mom wants to record it. I rip on him like, are you kidding me? No one's going to watch this show. And then I ended with, so perhaps next week you can tune in and watch America's favorite reality-based game show. Third guy finally gets to say his name. And then I just mumble and sigh like, whoever watches this show needs therapy. And then I ended with the punchline, you're fired, good night. And that's the end of the skit.